Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world. Pull up a chair. It's time to get down to the business. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, Mr. Jason Black. I'm very glad to be with you all here this evening, as we are going to discuss what will be the last of my daily broadcasts of this week. If you're not a subscriber to my Patreon, you missed last night's broadcast discussing hypergamy with no less than Simba herself. A lot of folk are talking about that for a lot of good reasons, so you definitely want to be a part of that. You need to like, share, and subscribe, but especially tonight, you want to like and share because it is time for us to clear up some misconceptions. It is time for us to clear up some misinformation and to get things to you straight. So that's what we're going to be dealing with here tonight. When I embarked on doing the business, I did it because I wanted to have something that was specific and specialized to discussing power dynamics and dealing with male-female power dynamics, because nobody else was doing it. You have a bunch of people out here who are attempting to hypothesize and theorize their way. Essentially, you've got individuals who are 1/3 informed, lecturing individuals who are 0% informed. So we got people who are 25 or 30% informed, talking to people who are completely uninformed and 0% informed. And the Dunning-Kruger effect certainly is relevant here because the folks who don't know are just lapping it up. Many of these things were taken from my work, and that's something that's happened over the years because I'm not a guy who jockeys for attention or position. I'm not a guy who usually calls people out when they do that. So folks have been picking things from me for years now, over a decade. The mainstream corporate media, Oprah Winfrey, because they're like, okay, well, what are the chances he's going to say anything? And the chances are usually relatively low. And I don't fight for attention like that. And I'm not doing it now. I'm doing this because I want to set the record straight and make it clear so that a lot of this disinformation and misinformation is put to bed. So I want to start off right now by saying that this is not a roast. This is not a roast. I know a lot of you think it's going to be a roast. I assure you that's not what my intention. This is about clarity, and this is about clarification. Because if you're going to use the things I've taught, then you need to use them properly. I don't have a problem with you repeating them. I do think it's a little bit of a slight. I don't know why your ego would prevent you from saying who you got it from, because when I say the things I got from Brother Neely Fuller, I have no problem saying that. But when you take things specifically from me that originated from me, you got it from me. If you got the game from me, I don't know why your ego would not allow you to simply say that. Why would you make it a point to act as if I don't exist? Because that's not about my ego anymore. It's like, okay, what's wrong with yours? So, as a respect issue, I want to make it very clear, this is not a roast. This is about clarity. Couple months ago, I started getting emails from people saying, hey, have you heard of this person? Have you heard of this person? He's using your talking points. He's saying the things that you're saying and disseminating it to the people. It sounds straight out of the business. I had no idea who it was. I don't sit online all day. So for the last couple of months, I've really been ignoring it. And then eventually there were enough people who were saying, I said, okay, well, enough people who I know personally who were like, hey, Jason, you need to go hear this. And so I'm like, okay. Because now these are people I knew personally who were like, Jason, yeah, I know you don't do that. You need to go hear this. So I said, okay, I'm going to pull up. I don't do this very often, but people I know personally are saying something, so I'm going to pull up. And I listened to about 5 or 6 broadcasts, and I was like, okay, that didn't take very long. Now, let me say a couple of things here first. Before we deal with, before we go into any sort of critique, let me say first of all that this is a guy who followed all the rules I gave people as far as YouTube broadcasting. He specifically talked about the equipment. He basically went down the list of all the things that I taught people and informed people of how to do. Went right down the list. So the first lesson for you all to learn is that my advice is actionable. It isn't just pontificating. It's not theoretical. My advice to you is actionable. If you put it into use, it will work. It works. So I don't have a problem with the fact that he took my advice and used it. And as a result, Kevin Samuels has enjoyed recently, since he started actually implementing what I said, he's enjoyed a good bit of success. He's enjoyed a good bit of success because that was how I laid the game down. I've been doing filmography now I've been doing filmmaking and cinematography now for 5 years. Self-taught. So if I tell you this is going to work, it's going to work because this is what I do. And it works. Which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. It's not the lens that does it, by the way. Very brief aside here. It's not really the lens. That's not what gives you a film look. Lighting is what does that. So let me just go ahead and say first and foremost here, I think it's a good thing. Don't get me wrong. I actually think it's a good thing. If there's one thing that Kevin Samuels has done correctly, it's his production value. This guy is he's probably the fastest rising individual out there right now based solely off of his production value. He didn't just put together a basic backdrop. I mean, it's not elaborate. It's not expensive, but his production value has been very good. His production value has been clean, concise, well put together. He's put together a little bit of a set there for himself. It fits his personality. So he has done that extremely well. He has beaten all of us, especially certainly me, because I don't put any effort into it. But his production value, his attention to producing something has been correct. His lighting has been the real thing. So when he said it was a lens, no, sir, it's lighting, sir. No, it's not a lens. It's lighting. Most camera systems today are the same, from a cell phone to the GH5 to the Red. There's not going to be a big difference. There really isn't. Except when you get into Red, you're dealing with dynamic range, and color spacing. I know y'all don't know what dynamic range or color spacing is. That's fine. But I mean, all these imaging systems, as we call them, are essentially the same. A lens isn't really going to help you that much. It is lighting, soft lighting that eliminates hard shadows. And his lighting is all soft. So he's done it in a portrait style. That's it. Basic cinematography techniques. Basic cinematography techniques. He actually used the ones I told people to use. Success will follow. Success will follow. It wasn't fragrances and style that led to his rise. It was discussing male, female, or specifically female issues. It was discussing that. And a phrase that I've used and a bunch of other people have used, he really, really harped on it really, really heavy: high value. Now, he didn't create it. We were using it well before he ever got on YouTube. We were using it, but he really beat the drum on it. He really beat that. That's really just been his slogan. That's been his mantra. High value, high value, high value man, high value man, high value. So another thing he's done very well is message discipline. These are techniques I've taught you all over the course of the last decade. Say something over and over and over and over again until when people hear the word or the term or the phrase, they immediately think of you. That's success. That's success. So these are techniques that politicians have used for well over a century, have used religiously for the last 7 decades. So Message discipline. He's been very, very good about pounding it home. Yes, you're all correct. Branding. He's been very good about creating a brand. He's hammered it home, hammered it home, hammered it home, and he has created perceived value. Well, I teach you all. What is the definition of branding that I taught you all? Now, I didn't create this definition. In business schools, they'll teach you this. Branding is defined as not a name. Branding is defined as perceived value. So he's used all these techniques and he's used them very well. It doesn't take a whole lot of work or effort. He's used these techniques and the results speak for themselves. He's also done something that I don't do. He broadcasts on a regular basis. YouTube's algorithm favors that. For those of you who don't know, YouTube's algorithm favors likes, but it doesn't matter whether your likes are put in live during the broadcast or not. Someone needs to send him a memo. You're going to get the same number of likes no matter what. If people dig what you're doing, you're going to get the same number of likes no matter what. Just letting you know that you're not spiking the algorithm by insisting on likes. If folk like what you're doing, they're going to fool with you and they're going to give it a like regardless. They do it based on likes, they do it based on shares, and they do it based on subscribers, but there's also another factor in the algorithm. They also do it based upon frequency of uploading. They also do it based upon that. So when you upload and broadcast frequently, because YouTube wants to compete against Netflix, YouTube is going to favor content creators who upload on a regular basis. Especially if you upload at a regular time. The algorithm favors you. The algorithm will favor you. So I don't know if he's aware of that, but it's not demanding likes that really is helping him. What's really helping him is he broadcasts on a regular basis. So it gives YouTube regular programming. They prefer things that do that. Now, I don't do that. I don't do that. It is what it is. I ain't got time to do this all the time. I just don't. Congratulations to Kevin and all these other people who got time to do this. I don't. I don't. But be that as it may, he's done a lot of things correct. He's done a lot of things correct. He's wearing the suit. He's got the lingo. He's put together the branding. He's done it correct, man. I mean, I gotta give credit where credit is due. I'm not gonna take anything away from somebody who's doing it right. He's done that correct. Do I have issues? I've got some critiques in particular because when I hear somebody addressing a general audience, pulling exact phrases and exact lines, exact metrics, exact things that I've said and told people, but then they're twisting it into something else. Now I gotta say, wait a minute, let me clarify the game here. I didn't just pull these things out of nowhere. You can't distort it and corrupt it and get the same results. Rebecca Lynn Pope is a fraud. I don't mean fraud as in liar. I mean fraud as in useless. Sorry. I just gotta be devastatingly honest with you. Rebecca Lynn Pope doesn't know what she's talking about. She's only had a couple of videos that got some good views. If you listen to her, I don't know what you think you're gonna walk away with. But this woman clearly doesn't have anything to say. So I'm not gonna make a video about her. Those are my 2 cents. If you really want to know what I think about that, just honestly. Waste of time. You'd be better off getting an oil change. So you've got a situation here where certain things that I've said have been pulled and utilized and incorporated into someone's broadcast on a regular basis. But they've been taken either out of context or twisted into something else. So that's the thing you have to take a look at. It's been taken out of context and twisted into something else. And it's incumbent upon me to clarify when you hear these things, why it is that this advice doesn't work properly, because it's been taken out of context, so it's no longer actionable. It's somebody's preference or opinion, not something that has actually been put into use. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and get into that. So what we're going to talk about here, I want to go over a few things, and you have to forgive me because there's some audio I also want to play here. If you ask me, well, Jason, what is it? What do you mean that these are things that came from you or whatever? What do you mean about that? What do you mean? All right. From the program, high value men don't want low value losers. And by the way, this is just recent stuff. This isn't even old things. We don't even have to go back very far. There are phrases that sound incredibly familiar. Phrases that nobody was saying before I came along. I coined these phrases and I made them a brand, which is why when you hear them, you recognize the brand.
The 3 children she raised, the house they had, and all this other kind of stuff. She didn't leave him. He left her. He divorced her. And I asked her, why did you stay? He's like, well, okay. Men of power and means, that's really, it's a woman's sexual pleasure has always been, it's not a requirement for reproduction. How about that?
Power and means. Now, keep your eyes and ears open. You're going to hear some phrases that sound very familiar, repeated several times. Power and men of means. Okay. All right, fine. Power, men of means. Sound familiar to anyone? Another program. Most women will have to work after marriage. Wonder if we're going to hear anything familiar here.
I'm not having kids. And she's still there. See, that's what I'm talking about, gentlemen. This is why you want to become a high value man. Because when you make a line, they'll dance. Do you think he would have the kind of power, influence, or whatever to get a woman to decide to stay and wait and try to play the waiting game if he was not high value?
Power and influence. Especially in relation to dynamics between people, power and influence, there's one word that has been dropped from the phrase that I created. Now, you all know, for those of you who've been following me for a decade, you know, by the way, somebody dropped a word from the phrase that I created. Someone dropped a word from it. For the people in the chat room, go ahead and type it in there. What is the correct phrase? What is the whole phrase? Because you can see where somebody's like, I don't want to say it exactly the way it is. What is the exact phrase that I gave people? So I'm not going to sit here and say it. I'm not going to sit here and say it. If you want to be a hater about it, I'm explaining about it. If you want to be a hater and a fanboy, that's your problem. If you don't like me explaining that, if you're going to be hurt about it, that's your problem. My mods, if anybody doesn't like the fact that I am clarifying the source, this isn't about wanting credit. If you have a problem with that, you can get out of here. If it hurts your feelings that I'm just explaining where the game originated from and who set the format, if that bothers you, then go back to letting your uncle feel on you. You don't need to be here. You can go back and let your male relatives feel on you. But I just wanted to be very, very clear, because when I go to the next part where I'm like, okay, you're taking the basic tenets that I laid down, but something's being added to it that distorts it, and I got to clear that up. So some of these folks here, they have an unnatural attachment. They got, they're emotionally invested. Oh man, you breaking it down. I'm not breaking anything down. I start off by saying, this is not a roast. This is not a roast. I'm just explaining, by the way, this is where the format came from. I don't have an ego about it. And you're right. Negroes always want credit. which is why they don't want to say where they got it from, even as they use it on a regular basis. I'm just saying, if you don't have an ego, you don't have a problem saying where you got it from. This is where you picked it up from. Okay, that's not enough examples for you? Okay, I got more. Recent broadcast, Danger Zone Feminist. Oh, wait a minute, am I going to keep going? Yeah, I mean, I can keep doing this all night if you like. Not being a hater. Just saying, by the way, you know where you got it from. And if it's applied properly, I'm fine with it. If it is not applied properly, then I'm going to start asking questions. Because then people are going to come back and say, like, okay, they're going to think that this is the next extrapolation, and it's not. They're going to think this is the next extrapolation of it, and it is not the next extrapolation. It's something different.
But you know you can't get the high value guys who may or may not be as attractive as you want, but they got enough resources, money, power, influence, and connections, network, visibility, and all that kind of stuff to keep you quiet and happy.
Okay, how many more examples would you all like me to give? The phrase I created was power, wealth, and influence. That is what controls a society. He uses every word except wealth, power, influence, power. He just said money, power, influence. Why would you, you all tell me, why would you want to delete that so that you don't, so people have no idea? What is it that you have against me that you don't want to acknowledge that? That's just a simple question. People, I give credit where credit is due. I don't have receipts. I got invoices. I don't tell you what you paid. I tell you what you owe. By the way, as you all can see, I can keep running down the examples. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that at all. Anybody who has a problem with this, just understand you're going to be banned. You won't be timed out. You will be banned. If you have a problem with me pointing this out, if I say it's relevant, it's relevant. If you don't like it because you thought that you had found the source and now you don't like that, yeah, I can understand. On the internet, you have a bunch of grimy, broke, dusty, raggedy, boot-licking, butt-kissing niggas who they screw over their families. They steal money from their families. They steal money from their mothers. They steal money from their fathers. They do despicable things to their kinfolk. So when you point out something like I'm doing tonight, they're like, well, hell, I've been messing over my family for decades now. Why are you upset about that? Because everybody's not a low-life piece of garbage who steals and messes over their family and friends like you. To anyone who has a problem with me pointing this out, everybody's not like your family. Everybody's not boys in the hood under one roof. Everybody's not like that. Everybody doesn't lie to their family, screw over their family, mess over their family, molest the kids. Everybody doesn't do that. You know, there are a lot of decent people who are like, hey, they give credit where credit is due. They acknowledge people. They don't try to steal things. They don't try to take things. They don't try to cover it up. They can just be straight up and straight down the middle. Everybody's not like you. Everybody's not like you. So I know you're very upset about this. Everybody's not like your family, man. I know you're upset about that, but everybody's not like your family. Everybody's not sitting up there doing bad things to their relatives and their friends like that. Everybody's not doing it. Just wanted to be very, very clear. Everybody's not doing that. And the other thing is, if somebody doesn't want to work with other black men and doesn't want to acknowledge it, what's the real purpose? What are they really trying to do? If these things are good enough for you to repeat, then they are also good enough for you to attribute. For those of you who flunked out of middle school, you've been living on a street corner and you're watching this program and everything else through your neighbor's Wi-Fi. If it's good enough to repeat, then it is also good enough to attribute. High value men give attribution. High value men give credit. High value men don't try to pass off somebody else's work as their own. They make sure that other people know where they got the game. High value men, part of doing the work is acknowledging when you didn't. In the chat room, I understand you've got some folks who are fanboys, and in your minds, it's like, ooh, hell, you feel like you're being harmed and debunked because you've been knowing what was going on. And you were like, well, I hope it's wink, wink. I hope there's some unspoken agreement. No, there is no unspoken agreement, but you shouldn't be upset about this. If it is good enough to repeat, then it's good enough to attribute. So why is that a problem? You explain to me why that would be a problem. And by the way, any of you who would trust somebody who would tell you that you don't need to say where I got it from. You don't need to question me about it. Okay, think about that for a few moments. Think about whether or not you want to trust that Negro with anything. Anything. From high-value men don't want low-value losers. Something else I couldn't help but notice. Something else I couldn't help but notice. Couldn't help but notice this.
Oh my God!
Bring your playbook. Oh, let me get the close up. They tell you, coach want to see you. Bring your playbook. What? You say, bring your playbook. Yeah. No. Go ahead. No. Leave your cell phone right there. Bring your playbook, though. Coach want to see you. Next thing you know, they're telling you, hey, thank you for your time with the Cowboys. Good job. But see, you're not a rookie anymore. People know about you. You have a reputation. When you're a rookie, you still had upside and talent. But
okay, what am I missing here? I'm missing something here. Let me back up a little bit.
I told you when we first started dating that I thought you were incredible. I thought we could have some fun together. I've enjoyed our time together, but I'm going to have to cut it off. This is it for us. Whoa, what happened? They've been cut. You've been given your waivers. Remember those NFL things, your training camp, and they would say the coach wants to see you. Bring your playbook. Jessica, you may not know this. And Black Wolf.
Okay, you all remember for years I've been teaching you all about a woman who is uncoachable. It is a sports analogy, and I say if a woman is uncoachable, she gets cut from the team. She gets cut from the team. When you're uncoachable. That's a sports analogy that I created because if you're uncoachable, I've been saying this now for a decade. If you are uncoachable, you get cut from the team. I know some of y'all are new and some of you think this is recent. And so folks that you've only been listening to for 6 months or a year, you think they made it and whatnot. And in reality, you're the one who didn't know. If you're saying anybody else's name, you're the guy who didn't know. By the way, I laid the foundation a long time ago and other people have used it. And I don't have a problem with that. I do wonder why it is that they have such an aversion and resistance to attribution because I give credit where credit is due. If I got something from somebody that was useful, I say, hey, and I heard a fella say this, if it's good enough for me to repeat, then it's good enough for me to attribute. Hell, I've attributed damn me Jordan Peterson. He's an alt-right guy. But when it comes to behavioral psychology, I think he says some things that are really profound. Even though he's an alt-right guy. I would just always make you know, Jordan Peterson, his alt-right tendencies notwithstanding, he said XYZ about Lion King, so on and so forth. Just so you understand where you got it from. Just so you understand it. And by the way, one more thing. Let me reiterate. No hate. No shade. I think a lot of the things he says are valid. I think a lot of the ways he says things are correct. I don't think he could work on answers a lot. His answers need a lot of work. But as far as, the overall substance of it, I think it's fit for consumption. I think it's fit for consumption. However, I just want you to understand that a lot of what's being disseminated to the people is out of context and has been corrupted, and it's not applicable in the real world because you're missing some things. You're missing some things. So I just want to take this as an opportunity. No shade, no hate. I'm trying to provide clarity because people are under real misconceptions of when guys like me were using the phrase high value, producer, man of means, a man with resources. Because if you all notice, I used high value very sparingly because high value is a relative term. And I know they like to dispute that over there, but that's the fact. High value is a relative term. It is subjective. In a lot of regards, it is subjective. Producer is not subjective. Resources are not subjective. Not subjective at all. So I want this to be an opportunity here. This is no hate. This is not a hate session. This is a love session. This is a teaching moment. Let's be very, very clear. This is a teaching moment. This is a moment for teaching. That's the reason I'm doing this, because I want us to have a teaching moment here, because that's what I do. It's what I do. I teach people about things. So let's go ahead and teach so that you understand what's really going on. I guess I should start here. I didn't really want to jump off into it, but I guess I'll start here. All right. One of the advents that he has done, and this is once again part of the branding, this is something I've taught you all. He's made a list. Everybody knows lists are big on YouTube and whatnot. Lists are big. Great. He put together a list. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to zoom in on it some more here. I probably could have come up with a better one with him. I do this stuff as I go, so let me go ahead and zoom in a little bit more so you can see the list. All right. There's his list. That these are the elements that comprise a high value man. All right, let's deal with this. First of all, what has he done right? He's done something right in that he has formed a unified ideology. Much of it is lifted from my work, my talking points, the format I laid down. Much of it is lifted from that, but I feel like Morpheus from the Matrix. But the problem is not your technique. I feel like Morpheus from the Matrix. Style, improvisation, but your problem isn't your technique. There's a problem. It's not your technique, though. So he's put together what forms the foundation or basis of the philosophies he gives. All right, good. That's very good. A lot of it is useful for the most part, but there's some issues. What are the issues? All right, let's take that first one. Money. So what is it that comprises a high value man? Money. Number 1 is money. Number 2 is length of time. Number 3 is group acceptance. Number 4 is network. Number 5 is visibility. Number 6 is utility. All right, those are the 6 things that he says that comprise a high value man. Number 1, money. Okay. Number 1 is money. What qualifies as money over there? What qualifies as money? The metric that he's given is $10,000 a month. That is what qualifies as a high value man. All right, let me deal with that one first, okay? Let me deal with that one first. $10,000 a month is $120,000 a year. Well, let me deal with that one first. First of all, I suppose that's upper middle class. That's upper middle class. But the problem is, number 1, and this is something you can't get away from. You can't get away from the fact that $120,000 is big money in some places, is very comfortable in some places. It is decently somewhat comfortable in others. You can't get around that. So That's the first thing that I have an issue with, is when you lay down that one as the metric. Because $120,000 is not rich. It's not well off. In some places it would be, but that's really middle class. $120,000 is middle class. Now, you ain't struggling. You're not financially struggling, and you should have disposable income left over. Yeah, but $120,000 is, that's not balling. It's decent money, and you're not struggling. Now, if that's the definition, okay, fine, but that's not the definition we've been given. All right, fine. But $120,000, just understand that. Understand that. There's also another issue, because the other issue is, who says that $120,000 makes you high value in the eyes of women? These are questions that are not asked. Who says that that makes you high value in the eyes of women? See, understand something. I do what nobody else does. I actually talk to women and get them to understand these things. Well, how do I know that that's not accurate? Because I already did the broadcast about this. We've already had the research done on this. You see, in the eyes of women, if you ask them how much money a man needs to make, you're basically asking them Prince Charming. That's a blue sky question. She's going to give you her fantasy, but her fantasy is not grounded in reality. She's going to say, I want a guy who makes $1 million a year. That doesn't mean anything. She just means a guy who makes enough money for whatever it is I want. But if you'll all remember, the study was already done. We already covered this. The study done by Cornell University, where they were pointing out what the issue was. Let me go ahead and zoom in on this for you here so you can see this a little bit better. And if you take a look down here in the middle, you can see where it clearly says, the researchers compared the incomes of potential mates. Oh yeah, one more thing. The study, back up a little bit, you can see there, well, we'll come back to that. I'll come to that in a little bit later, but if you see the first couple paragraphs above that, you can see a couple of sentences before that, by the way, where it talks about marriage age. Researchers compared the incomes of potential male spouses with those of men who married similar women. They compared potential male spouses with those who actually married similar women. And they found men who hadn't gotten married earned 58% less than those who did. The study describes an economically attractive person as someone with a bachelor's degree or a stable job who is making at least $40,000 a year. At least $40,000 a year. Not $140,000, not $120,000. What if you ask women what their wish list is, she gonna say $100,000 or more. But if you take a look at what they're actually responding to, because you can't listen to women. Understand, these are all the rules I taught you all. You can't listen to women. Why is that not being articulated? Because I do this all the time. You can't listen to what women say. You have to look at what they do. You have to look at what they do. That's what you have to do. Now, when you take a look at what women actually do, it's a different matter. So that's the first thing. If I want to give men actionable information. The actionable information, the truth of it is that women respond to a lot less than $120,000. You buy her a handbag, that'll hold her for a year or two. So what I'm saying is, let's be very, very clear. High value is relative to what she is used to. Since let me explain to you what the foundation I laid and why I say the things I said. High value is relative to what she is accustomed to. If she's used to somebody, understand something. A chick who was raised in a house where people were making $30,000 or $40,000 a year, she doesn't know how people who make $100,000 or $150,000 a year live. She doesn't know. So you can't ask her what it is. She doesn't know. She's just going off of her guesstimation. She doesn't know how people who make $150,000 a year live. She has no idea. Please. She probably thinks the most expensive car they make is the BMW 5 Series. So you can't go off of her. You can't go off of her. So no, you can't actually ask her what the dollar figure is. She doesn't know. It's relative to what she is accustomed to. I'm not saying follow what women say. I'm saying follow what they respond to. And when you actually follow what they respond to, then you realize 120 is not the number. Folks, I'm not talking about guesstimation. I know a lot of you in here, you were raised by frauds, con men, your daddy is in and out of jail, so you're used to people saying things that they don't have to quantify. You're not used to somebody demanding that you follow something through to its logical conclusion and demand documentation. You're not used to that. So there's a lot of males who are used to other niggas pimping them. And let me be very, very clear. I am not saying that Kevin is I'm being very generous. I'm not saying he's necessarily being pimping them. I'm saying the way y'all are responding in a lot of cases like hoes. You're not supposed to be responding like hoes. You're supposed to be responding like logical men who sit down and say, okay, let me examine the information. I'm just giving you the information. I'm being generous. I'm not saying he's a fraud. I'm not saying that he's a liar. I'm saying that he for some reason he hasn't wanted to give attribution for the principles that he lifted from over here. Okay, but I'm just showing you where the flaws are in it. He's tried to put his own twist and his own flavor in it. And the problem is there are factual, physical fallacies in it. Now, logical men, I know a lot of y'all who are raised by hoes, you're exposing yourselves. Even Kevin wouldn't want to fool with you because you're talking and responding like emotional hoes. Men are supposed to say, okay, let me take the information. Men don't troll. Men take the information and say, okay, let me see if I can find a logical fallacy. Let me see if I can find a statistical inaccuracy. So those of you who are trying to be hoes, understand, dude he doesn't even let guys call into his program, and you're trying to be his beard? Fall back, nigga. Fall back. You're desperate for a father figure and somebody to rub you on the ass? A grown man to rub you on the ass? Come on, man. Fall back. Fall back. This is moist behavior. I don't even want my people acting that way. If you dispute somebody, dispute it on the facts. Don't come up then like one of these church hoes yelling at people about, don't you talk about my pastor. Don't represent me like a church hoe. Don't do that. I bring facts. I bring evidence. I bring it with no hate. None whatsoever. How many times I have to sit here and tell you? I think some of the information that he's given out, some of the points he's taken, the way he's responded to callers, his production value, hey, that's on point. But the points that he's lifted, this is my opportunity to clarify it. You shouldn't be hating that. Why? Because you took it hook, line, and sinker and you emotionally invested, and now you feel some kind of way because you found out you were dumb and wrong? So you're upset with me because you were dumb and wrong? Okay, you need to talk to your mama or your daddy if you know who he is. Because men don't act that way. Hoes act that way. Men don't act that way. By the way, I'm giving him the respect that I would expect. I haven't name called. I haven't impugned his character. I haven't done any of that. I said, by the way, I have issues with these points. I'm taking it point for point. I'm not attacking him. I'm not attacking him. I am dissecting the individual points. That shouldn't be a problem. That shouldn't be a problem. That shouldn't be a problem at all for me to go ahead and do that. You should be saying, hey, that's all right. Because at the end of the day, if that's what you're selling, At the end of the day, if that's what you're selling, understand something. To the ladies in here, y'all can see the fruit booty dudes who are looking for another man to rub them down with oil. That ain't cool. That's not what I do. That's not what I do. Next thing here is length of time. According to his principles, you need to be making $10,000 a month for at least 5 years. All right. I'll go with that. I'll roll with that one, although there's a problem with that as well. Now, understand something. Who's the authority on what a high value man is? Can you show me the government agency? I can show you something better than that. As far as what qualifies as high value, forget opinions. I can show you something better than an opinion. People in the world I travel in, we don't traffic in opinions. We traffic in people who back it up with action. Like the bank. You see, a lot of you're used to folks saying things to you and never having to quantify it. In my world, you can't do that. Have you been to a bank that can lend you $1 million? Because when you go to a bank that can lend you $1 million, take a look at what their requirements are of you to get a loan for $100,000, $200,000, $500,000. Can anyone name for me a bank that do? Okay, for those of you listening in the chat room live or listening to it recorded later, how many W-2s, how many tax returns does a bank want to see? How many years worth in order for you to buy a house? Now, for a person who's taken out a $200,000 loan to buy a house, for you to deal with the holders of capital and the holders of wealth, how many years does a bank require for you to show them tax returns in order to get a loan? How many years worth? In the chat room, you are correct. It is 3 years, 2 years if you're self-employed generally. But let's just say 3 years. I can show you a number of lenders, Countrywide, Quicken Loans, that only want 2 years. But let's just say 2 to 3 years. Let's just go ahead and say that, 2 to 3 years. Did you get that? Now, we're not talking about my opinion if somebody holding. Chase Bank is holding. Countrywide is holding. Quicken is holding. Citibank is holding. These are the biggest movers of capital on the planet. And in order for you, their standards are 2 to 3 years to get loans of hundreds of thousands of dollars. If your income qualifies, they just want to see 2 to 3 years. Now, that's not my opinion. That's not my guesstimation. That's not my gut feeling. That's not my gut feeling of what I personally define it as. We're talking about people who holding a way lot more paper than I'm ever going to hold. So let's go ask them if the second point on here is their metric for a high value male. And then you tell me who has more credibility on this, you or Bank of America, you or Chase Bank, you or Wells Fargo. You or Countrywide, who has more credibility to determine how long that should be? Who has more credibility to make that determination? And how are you going to have a higher determination than the biggest, richest people on the planet? Thank you in the chat room. You're correct. These are principles that are clearly derived from a gut feeling, but they need to be updated and adjusted. You need to update and adjust these, because in the real world, that's not what we do. This is not something that's applicable in the real world. I'm talking about what's applicable, what holders of capital actually do, not what I suspect they do, not what I feel they do, not what I would do if I was in their position, not what I think it should be. This is what they actually do. If you want to do business with them, as far as they're concerned, 2 or 3 years, that's it. 2 or 3 years, that's all. Because people don't lose wealth over years, they lose it over months. If you're going to go broke, you're going to go sliding within a year. You're going to go sliding bad. It will be very clear to us that you're losing it all. So what I'm saying is the standard for what qualifies as high value. Shouldn't the highest value people be the ones who set that standard? If we're going to talk metrics, if you're going to talk concrete numbers, do not do that in the chat room. I'm not eithering anybody. I'm not dissing anybody. I am saying it's time to clarify. If you're going to take my talking points, I got to clarify with concrete numbers from concrete sources. If you want to know why I don't subscribe to these things, it's because for those of us, and by the way, let me just say a little bit of something. I want to go through the third and fourth points he's got on here. By the way, there's a reason why individuals on my side of the fence, why we say it the way we do. But length of time, the biggest holders of capital in the world say 2 to 3 years. Number 3, group acceptance. You have to be accepted by other high value men. Okay, they have to recognize you as a member of their group. I can roll with that one, but the problem is there's something missing, and I'm going to get back to this in a few moments. Because high value being relative, we're missing something here. And that's a problem that needs to be adjusted because we're missing something. My mods, don't be timing out people who shouldn't be. I mean, don't be blocking people who aren't supposed to be blocked. Read carefully. I know a lot's coming at you. I'm hosting the program and I'm catching things. Come on, let's not do that. Don't do that. Number 4, network. He says that you have to have a network of people. Absolutely. Your network is your net worth. That really kind of dovetails with number 3, to be totally honest with you. That really dovetails with number 3. Now, I will say one thing here. I want to tie number 3, number 4, and number 5 together. Group, you have to be accepted by the high value group. You have to have a network. I suppose your network doesn't necessarily have to be high value people, but you need to have a network of people that you bring your products or services or that you do business with. And then number 5, visibility. All right, let's take a look at a couple of things here. Question number 1, the richest men on the planet. Are the richest, most powerful men on the planet the most visible? That's the first question. Alex Jones has made a multi-million-dollar career for himself talking about the richest men on the planet, and the richest men on the planet, y'all haven't seen them. So you're going off of the standards that you use, at the jailhouse. You're going off the standards that you use when you're dealing with $50 with somebody or $500 with somebody, not 5 million or 500 million. When I release a film, we move hundreds of thousands of dollars and none of those people see me and I don't see any of them. They don't give a damn what I look like. They don't give a damn how popular I am. You see, broke people, notoriety is the currency of broke people and dumb people. People holding money, they don't give a damn about your rep. They don't give a damn about your street rep. They don't give a damn how cute your broke friends think you are. There's like, that's game. They want to see numbers. They don't want to see you. You walk up in their face, your hair is done, your shoes are shined, and you're trying to, all of a sudden they're talking to you about numbers and you don't want to discuss numbers. Well, my LinkedIn says, my Facebook says, my girlfriend says. The bank don't give a damn about any of that. People, I purchased my last 5 cars and never had to show up at a bank. How many of you have done the same thing? How many of you have bought a car that was worth more than $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, or a house worth more than $200,000, and never had to meet a person in person to make the purchase. So in case anybody's thinking I'm making this up, how many of you, maybe I'm special, maybe I'm a unicorn, I purchased those things and never had to meet a person in the flesh. Did it all online and on the phone. They just wanted to know and the routing number clear the bank, because if it doesn't, we ain't got nothing else to talk about. Hell, as a matter of fact, the Tesla Motor Company, that's all built on online. They don't give a damn if the money, all they want to know is your routing number and your check number. If those don't clear, they don't want it. They don't want it. So I'm not talking about what people feel in their guts or what they estimate or guesstimate because they haven't actually done it. I'm talking about the world in which I live and the world in which you live. In the world in which we live, you don't do all that. People want to see your money. They want to see what you've produced. They don't want to see you. Because when you run up, you come up talking game, you have to understand, to broke, bummy, dusty folk who are used to hustling people and conning people, not talking about Kevin, talking about a lot of his audience is used to that apparently in their daily lives. Y'all are used to talking your way through bullcrap. You're used to bull jiving people and talking your way through things, and that's when folk are dealing with money. They don't want to sit up here and you start talking and talking and talking and talking. They want to see the numbers. And when you start trying to divert the conversation away from the numbers and let me start talking, let me start talking, let me start talking. You want to talk about network and visibility. I can discuss my network. By the way, if anybody wants to have a problem with that, oh, Jason, you hating. I'll compare mine to Kevin or anybody else. I don't know Kevin's network. I don't know the people he knows. You all know some of the people that I know. Dr. Claude Anderson, Boyce Watkins, Judge Joe Brown, Yusuf Salaam. These are certified millionaires. Isaiah Washington, even Simba. You all know some of the people I know. I can pick up my phone and call them right now. These are certified millionaires. Certified. I ain't telling you what I think. I'm telling you the houses I've been to and the things I've seen. So I'm not telling you what I think or what I believe or what I feel or what I wish. You all know my circle, even Tariq. Another one. You all know my network. You all know the people, the circles I run in. So if I just name names and you all can validate those. Now, I don't know what Kevin's network is, but you all know I can show you the names from the guy most of you have never seen. No, those millionaires I just named, they seen me for the most part. Everybody except Tariq. So to everybody else out here, by the way, yeah, you haven't seen me, but I don't need to see you, nigga. You don't have enough money for me to meet you. But by the way, I can say names. I can give you names and you all can validate. Oh yeah, Jason talks to them and those are just the ones you know about. I got twice as many that they ain't comfortable with me acknowledging them in public. One of these days I'm gonna have to roast them about that. But they're not comfortable being acknowledged in public. Okay, but I told y'all years ago, I know a bunch of people y'all don't know, but I don't have to put them out there like that. These are people I know. So in the world of producers, I can name my network. I can throw names out there. Anybody who wants to throw shade at me, can you name yours? Can you name your network? If you want to throw shade at me, and you think that you're important enough for me to come see you, okay. But I can name my network. You tell me whose name I can name mine. TK Kirkland. You want me to keep going? I was just thinking about, I'm trying to rack my brain for the people I've actually talked to who satisfy those requirements. TK Kirkland. You want me to keep going? No, I'm not going to keep going. But I can go ahead and throw that I can name the people that all of you can validate. Willie Suggs, there's another one. If you see my films and whatnot, these are people I can validate, that all of you can independently validate. So if you want to know about a network, I can tell you about a network, but more importantly, I can name the names so that you're not wondering. So if you want to hate, for those of you who've been following Vaporware and for those of you who've been following Talk, I know you feel really stupid right now, and a lot of you are acting like your mamas. That nigga got your mama pregnant, promised her he was going to get her furs and jewels, left that heifer on the street corner, and a lot of you are emulating that. So you get emotional, not at the people telling you the truth. You get mad at the people who are telling you the truth. You're not getting emotional with the people who lied to you. So get emotional with the folk who lied to you. You're getting emotional with the people who told you the truth. Why? Why? I can show you my names. I can list for you my network. If anybody wants to try to throw shade at me, get ready to name your names. Oh yeah, they've all publicly acknowledged me. Get ready to name your names. If you think that you can dispute me about this, name your names. 'Cause I just named mine, and those are just a few of them. Those are just a few of them. Devin, you are correct about one of those names. One of those names is a multimillionaire, actually. White supremacy pays, and it pays well. But regardless, just understand, if you want to do that, folks, I'm fine with that. A lot of you dumbasses are getting taken by people, and I'm not saying that let me clarify again. I'm not taking a shot at Kevin saying that. I'm saying that a lot of you are sitting here and you don't have a real world. You don't actually deal in the real world metrics that we deal in. To that first point about money, once again, to confirm it, you can confirm mine. If you want to talk about the numerals, the numbers that qualify a, quote, high value man, you can confirm mine. I don't have to sit up here and tell you about something. Golightly, stop saying that in public. I don't want, yeah, that's not something I'm out here touting. That's not one of my buddies. That's not one of my friends. Don't say that. He's not a buddy. He's not a friend. I don't have anything good to say. So don't do that. Don't do that. I have nothing good to say. But what can I say? I know the famous and the infamous. When you're in the circles I'm in, we know both the famous and the infamous. I know some of the most noble people. I know some of the most heinous demons. I know some of the most noble people, and I know some of the most heinous demons. When you're actually in these circles and you are actually in the game, then yes, you know people from all walks of life. The most honorable and the most heinous. Back to this first thing about money. Now, here's another thing. You all can publicly confirm mine. If I'm telling you, when I talk about the circles that I'm in, you can Google mine. Now, these other folk, I don't know if you can. I'm being kind. I'm going to say, I don't know if you can do that. But if you're able to Google theirs and say, hey, I can show you an exact number, let me know. Let me know. You can Google mine. I don't have to. You can Google mine. You want validation? Dumb niggas talking about seeing me, nigga. I don't have to show you me. I can show you the money. You can Google mine. Don't believe me? Go to Amazon. I've got Amazon bestsellers under my list, under my belt. I don't have to prove a damn thing to you. You can Google mine. So if we're going to if you all really want to know where my authority, I'm not speaking about Kevin Samuels or anybody else. I'm saying I'm looking at Kevin's list. If you want to know where my authority to speak about what is high value and what isn't, if you want to know where my how it is I was able to lay these foundations, it's because I've lived this. This isn't an experiment that I'm working my way through. I'm the niggas who want to talk noise, we can't find you on a milk carton. You can Google mine. You can Google it. That's my authority to speak. You can Google my money. You can Google my length of time. You can Google my group acceptance. You can Google my network. You can Google my visibility to my network. And as far as utility, ain't no need to talk about it. Ain't no need to talk about it. Where I come from, you have to act on it. In the circles I'm in, they don't accept opinions as currency. If you can't act on it, if you can't show it, if you can't prove it, we ain't really going for that. Let's be very, very clear about this. I want to make sure that you understand, and I'm not here to tear anybody down, which is why I'm not doing that. I'm saying that when I laid down these points, that money is the foundation of whether you're a producer. It is because numbers are not open to interpretation. A phrase, high value, is open to interpretation. A dollar figure is not open to interpretation. You got that part right. The figure chosen, however, that's a bit of an issue because women respond to a much lower number. Now, there's nothing wrong with making 10 G's a month. There's nothing wrong with making 20 G's a month. Perfectly fine. But I am saying, okay, we need to understand why I gave you these different things. So if you're going to go out and disseminate the principles I gave and the talking points I gave, if you're going to go do that and whatnot, don't corrupt the format, because what I've given you, this is what works in my life. This is what you can validate. If anybody's got any crap to talk about me, then I'm going to first and foremost say, I've shown you my numbers. You can Google my numbers. Anybody who wants to criticize me, can they show you their numbers, show you their length of time, show you the group of high value people who accept them, show you the network, name the names. Don't just say, I know somebody. Monique was so right about that. If you ain't gonna say their names, don't bring it up. Don't say you have a high value network if you won't say the names, and if nobody can name any of the high value people who know you. Number 5, visibility. But who's your visibility to? A bunch of broke people? My visibility is to producers. A lot of you are producers, and within my network, they're producers. I'm visible to them. As a matter of fact, I'm one of the most visible people in the world because you can call me on holidays. And then, of course, last but not least, being useful. If your paper is straight, you're useful. Period. That's why they call it money. So if anybody's got anything negative to say about me, my response to you is, I can show you my numbers. Verified, confirmed, certified. I can show you my accomplishments. Verified, certified. I can show you TMZ and major news outlets hating on me. I can show you my network and I can name the names. So, in order for you to criticize me, so understand, in bum nigga world, a bunch of broke dumb dudes sit around arguing with each other and they don't say any of the things I just said. In the world I come from, if you don't provide proof and documentation, you get kicked out of the room at best or you get arrested at worst. So we don't take pontification and hypothesis and theorizing over here. We don't take that. We don't take it. Let me be very clear. The majority of the women listening in this chat room right now tonight, they would be cool as a fan with a dude making $1,000 a week. The median black female's income in America is $37,000. The median income for black women in America is $37,000. She tell you she wants somebody with making $100,000 or more. Please, she will do tricks for a nigga making $50,000. Easy. I'm not talking about what they say. I'm talking about what they respond to. This is what they actually respond to. So if we're discussing what people actually respond to, that's it. Now, I'm going to have to make this a little bit quicker here because YouTube is messing with the damn stream again. I guess we got so many people watching and whatnot, they're messing with the stream again. There were a couple of other things that I wanted to take a look at and address here, because I want to keep the information straight about it. And like I say, I'm doing this only because I want to provide some clarity. I want to provide some clarity about this. When we talk about women and marriage and what it is that men want from them, once again, it's not good to pass off opinions as facts, because that's problematic. When we pass off opinions as facts, that's problematic. And I don't deal in opinions. I can't do my business in opinions. I have to do my business in facts. That's what I have to go based on. So when we talk about what it is that men want, if we talk about what it is that a producer wants, a man who's holding above average income and able to reward people, he's able to reward his woman, he's able to give her above average rewards and above average benefits. That is important. That's important because if you're going to say that this is what the men want, then you're telling the women this is what they should be angling for. And that's fine. That's great. The ladies need to know, hey, a lot of y'all are just hella off your game and got to get fixed up on that. He's done a very good job at that part of it. It's the tail end part that tends to be an issue. It's the tail end part that tends to be a problem. So I want to just go over that. And by the way, it's no hate, it's no shade, it's no anything like that. I'm clarifying why it is that those things can be issues. If these are things that hurt your feelings and if you're mad and whatnot like that, I don't have anything good to say to you. If it bothers you, if it offends you, so what? So what? I'm very unconcerned if you're offended. If you can tell me I'm lying about something, then go ahead and call that out. If you can say it's a lie about something, but if it's not, don't do that. Now, We want to talk about what it is that a high value man wants in a woman. What has been stated on his channel is that a man is looking for a woman's beauty and femininity. I don't know a single producer. I don't know a single person in my network, in my social circle, and y'all know who I deal with. Not a single one of them says that beauty and femininity is the only thing they're looking for and everything else is negligible. When you get to a certain position, you expect the total package. You expect the total package. And the problem is a man who is a producer, what in the hell does he have in common with a woman who is not? Now that's just basic logic. If a man is a producer, he doesn't need his woman to pay the bills, but this isn't about her paying the bills. This is about, do you and I have something in common? I have produced, as I told you all, I produced Amazon. Jeff Bezos can say that. But Mackenzie Bezos was not a housewife sitting around. Mackenzie Bezos was a producer too. Now, not at the level that Jeff was and is. No. But let's just be very clear. She wasn't sitting around the house cooking and cleaning and going to the gym to make sure she had flat abs. She did all of it. She did all of it. Because when you are sitting with one of the richest, most powerful men in the world, that's the way it's going to be. That's the way it's going to be. So when I see elements that are missing, like I say, I know it's missing when the people I talk to, the people I deal with, if they're moving those kind of numbers and whatnot, it's like none of them sit up here and say it's a one-trick pony. Cute is a given. When you making $120,000, $150,000 a year, cute is a given. That's not leverage. That's not a bargaining chip. Cute's a given. We don't give you special points for that. We expect you to be beautiful. You're expected to bring that. That is the door charge for you just to get in the club. So, first and foremost, I'd have to say, if I have a criticism there, it is going to be that, yeah, man, we're not impressed by a chick who looks nice. We expect that. That's a given. We're not impressed by her being feminine. Ooh, man, you a whole lot better than the rest of these rag dolls. It's like, yeah, we know there's a bunch of rag dolls out there, but they ain't eligible for us and we're not checking for them. So you don't get special points for that. That's an expectation. That's a given. If you don't have it, we can't even begin the discussion. Can't even begin the conversation because you're lacking. So first and foremost there, yeah, I mean, you got to represent us well. You can't look like Lizzo, absolutely. But then again, that's going to be a given. You're going to have to do that just to get a conversation. And that brings me to my next point here, which is about the fact that if you are not expecting your woman to financially produce, then she is not invested. The biggest producers that I know and can name, and we're not going to go over that a bunch of times, but folks, they don't deal with broke broads. I don't know who told you they do. I don't know where this idea came from. All I can say is if you truly traffic around high value men and producers, they don't stockpile a bunch of broke broads. Well, she cute. Well, then she could be Nicki Minaj then. No, you got to have more than cute. Well, we ain't checking for cute. What else you got? And if cute is not an intrinsic part of the discussion, then we don't have anything else. There's really nothing else to talk about. You and I don't have enough in common for us to continue this any further. There's a bunch of chicks who think they're going to get by on looks alone. A producer doesn't have people around him who get by on their appearances. He has people around him who get by on their accomplishments. Your looks are not an accomplishment. That is an incidental characteristics of genetics. You were born with your looks. What else you got? Do you have something that will benefit me? Your looks benefit you. That's going to be a given. What do you have that benefits me? Now, are there some dudes who do grab chicks for looks alone? Yeah, but those are the ones who stay losing that you all have the horror stories about. If they prioritize, and as they get older, they start saying, yeah, to hell with looks. I've been there and done that. I need a producer. She doesn't have to be a producer big P, but she's got to be a producer little p. She's got to produce something. Once again, that element cannot be missing. It can't be missing. You gotta have that. What qualifies for the fit component? If you're going to say that the woman's beautiful, yeah, from the neck up is cute and everything, but what qualifies for the rest? And do you have that? Now, nobody wants to be running around with Lizzo, that's true, but what are we really looking for? Well, I have heard it said about what is it that is the attributes physically that a man wants. What are the attributes they're looking for? "5'4" and 120 pounds. I'm not going to go off in the woods on this, but I do want to make sure that I'm straight about some things. 5'4" and 120 pounds is what the females have been told on this channel. Not my channel. It's been told on Kevin's channel. Okay, that's what he likes. That's fine. But is that what they're still looking for? Is that what they're actually looking for? Because I got to tell you right now, I don't know. That's really on the real slender side. Fit is nice. Some dudes like their women slim. Okay. You should be 5'4" and 120 pounds. And for every 2 inches, you get 5 more pounds. That is the metric that was given out. Okay. So that means for a female who is 5'8", you're supposed to be 130 pounds. Question. Do you all know how tall? Otherwise, you're fat. All right. You need to be that, otherwise you're fat. Okay. Question. Do you know how tall Serena Williams is? Is there anybody who thinks she is fat or thinks she just right? Some of her thought processes to the side. Does anybody think that Serena Williams is fat? Go look up her height. Go look up her weight. And you might find yourself to be surprised. Go look up her height. Go look up her weight. It's not me talking. You can go Google that. If you agree with it afterward, that's great. If you don't, all right. How about Simone Biles? Does anyone think that Simone Biles is fat? Might want to go take a look at hers also. I could keep going here. Naomi Osaka. Osaka Naomi. Whatever her name is. I forget that one off the top of my head. Naomi Osaka. Would you like to go and check out her stats? As far as her height and her weight. And relative to each other. This is not my opinion. This is not my opinion. I'm just asking you, what is it that you like? You tell me. If I'm wrong, okay. If you like, hey, Jason, they fat. And I can go down the list. Amanda Nunez. We can keep going. Is she fat? According to the metric given there, yeah, all of these chicks are not just fat, they're damn near obese by those metrics. Now, to all the really fat chicks, y'all need to look at your midsection, and if you can pinch some body fat, now you don't try to put yourself in the same league as Serena and Simone. No, you just fat, okay? You just fat. They've got muscle tone. But my point is, yeah, fat really does need to be a holistic thing, and we can't just go off of what's your height, what's your weight. The BMI is, that's not really dependable. It really isn't. Unless your preference is for slender, shorter women. Now, with all due respect, the gentleman considers... Kevin Samuels has said that he considers Halle Berry to be a perfect 10. I guess at the height of her prime, okay. Halle Berry's a perfect 10. Kelly Rowland is a 9. And Beyonce is an 8. I don't even know it. Kelly Rowland would not say that she is above Beyonce, that she's a 9 and Beyonce is an 8. Kelly Rowland wouldn't say that. Maybe in his... Now, by the way, these things are subjective. These things are subjective. Okay, fine. But for the record, if I may to be brutally honest, Kelly Rowland will tell you, no, Beyonce's the 9, I'm the 8. Kelly would tell you that. I can't imagine any circumstance under which Kelly Rowland would tell you that she's a 9 and Beyonce is the 8. However, those things are subjective. If that's the individual's preference, okay, fine. Halle Berry is too damn scrawny for me. She's real slender built. That's fine. Be slender. But she's very slender. And she's built like those European models, that world of European models that she comes from. That's not appealing to me. I don't want a slender chick. Not looking for slender. Don't want Kim Fields either, but in my world, that's too damn scrawny. Now, if you like more of that, runway model look, okay, fine. If you want more of that runway model look, fine. But as far as most men, yes, and you're correct, Halle Berry's got type 1 diabetes, by the way. But be that as it may, Halle is too skinny for me. She's just too waifish. So to sit up here and tell women that if you ain't built like Halle Berry, there's a problem, that's subjective. And by the way, I know you want to go down my list of producers, the ones I can name. I can go down my list of producers I can name. None of them agree with that. None of them do. None. So what I'm saying is that's subjective, but don't send it out to women as a rule. You really can't give that to women as a rule and say, okay, you're this many inches tall, you need to weigh this weight, because that really works if the woman is really slender. What if a man ain't looking for slender? Now, to some of you out of shape, flabby broads, don't think this is your hall pass. It ain't. You're still in detention. You know full damn well if you sloppy built, you know that. You're looking in the mirror, well, this is a good enough dude. No, good enough dude ain't gonna work over here. You know full damn well if you're sloppy. Simone Biles, is Simone Biles just for Southerners, sir? Is Simone Biles just for Southerners? Naomi Osaka just for Southerners? Beyonce at her fighting weight just for Southerners? Seriously? Bernice Burgos, yeah, that's another bad one. That's just for Southerners? According to these Halle Berry metrics, all of them are fat and whatnot. And I'm just like, okay, if you want a slender, really slim Halle Berry type, okay, that don't do nothing for me. That doesn't do anything for me. So I'm just saying, from an objective point of view, that's where we're coming at it from. If I may, to also correct a few things, now I just want to correct them, okay? I just want to correct them. If you're going to throw out numbers about weight, I want to make sure that we're clear about what that is. If we are going to say that 5 foot, in 1960, what was men's weight in 1960 and what's their weight today? That men have only gained about 5 pounds, but that women have gained 25. That the average weight of a man today is 165 pounds. If he said that once, he must have said it 3 or 4 times every program. No shade, but you need to update your information. Your information needs to be updated. Because according to the Centers for Disease Control, right now, this is the weight of the average American man and American woman right now. Right now. Do you all need me to zoom in on that so you can see it a little bit better? I'll go ahead and zoom in so you can see that a little bit better here. Those are the numbers right now. So I'm not going to beat that one to death. I'm just going to say I'm not sure where your information comes from. I am not going to impugn that information. I'm going to say wherever you're getting that information from, you need to update your information. You need to update your information. Your information is in need of an update. Because it ain't even close. So I would recommend updating that information. If we are going to discuss the average age of getting married, once again, with all due respect, no shade, no heat. If this is going to be your stump speech, all I'm saying is if you're going to venture into my world where we deal with hard facts and figures, if you're going to venture into my world, then you gotta have the numbers, you at least have to have the information correct. It's one thing to be a little off, it's another thing to be like, well, this is what I personally feel. The problem is, these are the numbers. these are the numbers. So just so we'll be aware here, and I'm not throwing shade about it, what I'm saying is that my credibility and my branding has come from the fact that I am hard about the numbers. I'm hard about the stats. I'm hard about that. And that's what's built the credibility of my platform. People trust that. So when you tell women that they're old, if they're not married by 25, they're old. Well, yeah, they're certainly not in their prime. Absolutely, they're not in the, if you're 27, 28, you're basically on that downward slide at that point. Yeah, that's true. But to say it's late, okay, you need to be married at 22, 21 and 22, where they do that? That's not happening. I'm not telling you my opinion. Now, this might be your opinion and this is your position based upon what you feel would be best or whatever. Okay, but what you feel is best isn't going to overturn the objective reality in the world at the marriage license office. At the clerk of court's office where they have the marriage certificates, unfortunately, they got a lot different information. So what I'm saying is my platform was built and my credibility was built upon the numbers. And I know a lot of folks really want that. And that's good. I want folks to have their numbers. That's cool. You need to have your stat swag together. I'm cool on that. However, that's another issue. Oh, yes. One more thing. Yes, in the chat room. Now, you all remember I laid down the metric of how long it takes for a man to decide if you are marriage material and how long it takes for a man to decide if he wants to marry you. Now, of everything that's been done, and I've been very respectful to you. I have been very respectful. I ain't been roasting nobody. This isn't a roast. But by the way, folks, you all know I created that metric. I created that metric system, telling women that a man knows if you are wife material within the first 30 days that he meets you. And he knows if he wants to marry you within 6 months. He knows if you are the one within 6 months. He doesn't decide that he wants to. I think this is where you messed up at. You thought I was saying that he decides he wants to marry you in 30 days and that you get married in 6 months. That wasn't what I said. And that's been horribly, horribly distorted. I didn't say that. I said it takes him 30 days to determine or be sure that you are marriage material, and then 6 months to determine if you're the marriage material for him. You see, a woman can disqualify herself from marriage very quickly. See, this is what you didn't know this because it hadn't been explained to you. That's why the explanations you've been given are not, they're not complete. They're not whole. They don't have the integrity that they need. A woman can disqualify herself from marriage very quickly. It takes a long time for her to get qualified. So you see, in the first 30 days, he can determine if you totally disqualified yourself. If you haven't, oh, okay, you're wife material for somebody. Not sure if it's for me, but yeah, you'd be wife material. The next 6 months, he decides if you are marriage material for him. Now, unfortunately, that was twisted into 30 days to decide he wants to marry you. In 6 months, you'll be married. That's not realistic. People, can you please name for me a single lifelong decision that you are able to make in the corporate world, in the banking world? Can you name for me a single lifelong decision that is made in 6 months? I'm asking a question to my audience, live or recorded. Can you please name for me a single lifelong decision that you make that you have determined in 6 months? Name it for me. Let's talk about colleges. Does a college decide that you should have a 4-year degree in 6 months? Can you name for me a single college that says, okay, you should have that degree in 6 months? They don't give you a degree in 6 months. Name for me a bank that is going to acquire a business that it's going to own. Warren Buffett doesn't decide if he's going to own a business over the course of 6 months. That business has to have a decade, 2 decades, 3 decades of consistent profitability and strong leadership. Warren Buffett says that he usually buys to hold forever, although recently with the airlines we saw that wasn't accurate, but he wants to hold them. Can you name for me a single lifelong decision that can be wrapped up in 6 months? 6 months. I'm waiting for somebody. Can you name one? Carl, you say you married your wife after 4 months. You've been together for 24 years. Congratulations. I doubt you walked in the door saying, yeah, I'll know if we need to get married within 30 days. I don't think you did that. So that's the exception to the rule. Folks, if you want to operate on exceptions to the rule, then don't pay your rent and don't pay your mortgage. There are some people that the bank overlooks that they didn't pay their rent or didn't pay their mortgage. So if you believe exceptions to the rule are something that you can invoke in normal conversation, then just don't pay your rent and don't pay your mortgage, because exceptions to the rule are the rule. No, you're not vested in a retirement plan in less than a year. There are some employers that may do that. That is an exception. It's not the rule. So what you're telling me is people can only bring up exceptions to the rule. They can't actually bring up a rule. So that's my point. My point is that those are exceptions. Nobody makes a lifelong decision based on 30 days of analysis. Not for a degree. The university doesn't make that decision for you with a degree. If you made that decision, that's probably why most of you have useless degrees. The bank doesn't do that when they acquire a business. When you're talking about something that you're going to have to stick with for the rest of your life. And by the way, if you do get in a retirement plan, you got to pay in for 20 or 30 years, fool. You have to pay in for 2 or 3 decades before you get the benefits of it. So you better do more than a couple of months of thinking. Some folks are so desperate to defend their ignorance, they'll just bring up anything. But in all honesty, player to player, when I gave that rule, I said 30 days for a man to determine if this woman is wife material. Not wife material for him, but that she is wife material in general. That she's not, oh, this chick is definitely not, nope, nothing nobody wants to be a wife. Cardi B, you ain't nobody's wife. That's why Offset was like, hey, I got to have a side chick. Yeah, I mean, I'll take you to the altar, but yeah, baby, I gotta have a side chick. You ain't no wife material. Nicki Minaj, we can go down the list. You ain't wife material like that. Not to a sensible man. You ain't wife material. And it took us all of 2 seconds to make that determination. Okay, you ain't the one. You ain't the one. People, it's going to take you a couple of years. And the reason why it's going to take you a couple of years is because, in the words of T.I., nobody can be fake that long. You see, you monitor something. When you get hired by an NFL team, they monitor you. That's why jobs have probationary periods. We're going to monitor you. And if a woman is about something, you're going to be able to, if you're watching her over the course of 2 years, she ain't going to be able to be fake for 2 years. Her representative at some point is going to go on vacation during that 2 years. And what she's going to try to do is camouflage it. But let's be very clear. A person can't be fake that damn long. They're not going to be able to hide it that long. They're not going to be able to do that. They're not going to be able to be fake that long. So if you give it time and are not desperate, you'll be able to see that. You'll be able to see that. So yes, if a man has built a business for himself, if he's built an above average life for himself, he wants time. By the way, here's the other reason that you need to give a woman a couple of years. You give her a couple of years because, by the way, Kevin and these other people, because they don't have the full ideology behind it, they don't understand why it works in practice. They don't understand why it works in practice. So let me explain to you why what these guys say is their philosophy, but it doesn't work in practice. Over the course of 2 years, you're able to test a woman. You're able to put her through her paces. You're able to make her work and sacrifice. You're able to crap test her. You can't do that in 30 days. Oh, did you hear me one? You can't do that in 30 days. It takes time to test abroad. It takes time to put her through her paces. It takes time to make her sacrifice. It takes time. Also, over the course of 2 years, you're going to make her invest in you. What is the number one reason that women say that they stayed in relationships that they didn't want to be in? What's the number one cause that they cite? They say, I've put too much into this. I've invested too much in it. If you marry her after 6 months, what the hell has she invested? She hasn't even invested emotion. So if you give her 2 years and you put her through her paces, you make her sacrifice, you crap test her, you make her run the hurdles, hop the hurdles, jump through the hoops, you make her do that over the course of 2 years, eventually she gonna say, yeah, damn this, I'm gonna look for somebody else. She's gonna try to cheat on you, she's gonna try to steal it from you, she's gonna try to get you locked up, she's gonna do something, she's gonna be, damn this. Because she's been through a bunch of other dudes that she could break a lot easier. They were a lot more desperate. She's had other dudes she could break easier. So just understand. You put her through 2 years of her paces. And if you are paying attention and you are as studious about her as you are about your business, you will see if it's real or not. You'll see if it's genuine. You'll see if she has consistency. You start looking for that lack of consistency. You start looking for that talking back. You start looking for that testing you. You start looking for that jerking back and whatnot. You start looking for that. You can't make that determination over the course of 30 days. You can't do that. That's not the way that works. You're not going to be able to really figure that out. Now, there are some chicks who might break. I'm not saying that she won't break in 6 months. She might break in 6 months, but on average, a woman can hold out past 6 months just fine. How much can you actually test her about? How much can you actually test her about? And can you be sure Can you be sure? So that's the reason why I gave you the metric that I did. I gave you the metric that I did because these are actionable. These are things you can live. This isn't hypothetical. This isn't an experiment. This isn't a theory. A lot of other folks out here are trying to figure it out and test their theories and whatnot, and I'm not down on them for that. What I'm saying is we don't do theories over here. So if you're going to utilize the metrics I created, the talking points I created, the formats I created, there's a reason why you cannot alter them. I ain't Rollo Tomasi. Rollo Tomasi's trying to figure it out. He's making changes in just the last few weeks based upon what I've said. He don't know. He's never used it. He's a guy who's got 25%. He's 25% informed, talking to a bunch of lames who are 0% informed. He don't know. He's never used it. I use language that these other folk don't use. I sit here and say flat out, it's going to take you time to break abroad. It's going to take you time to do that. It's going to take you time for that. It's going to take you time. These guys, they don't talk like that. They ain't used to it. They're watching me do it and then saying, well, damn, somebody intelligent who's made a name for himself and is built up and actually has the metrics. A guy who actually has the metrics, he talks like this? He speaks straight out like this? Yeah. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. So a lot of them are trying to figure it out. I'm not trying to figure this out, is what I'm telling you. You all are getting the benefit of it from a person who lives it and has lived it and can tell you, listen, I've told you all the things they don't talk about. I don't give a damn about pleasing a woman. I will be productive and that will please her. Your job isn't to please her. Your job is to lead her. Not to please her. She will be pleased by having a man who can lead. These other dudes don't know that. And then if they attempt to reword it, then they've destroyed the meaning and understanding of what was said. So you can't alter this to try to cover up where you got it from, and it still has the same efficacy. It doesn't. It doesn't. That's why I'm saying the reason why I want to clarify this is because when you start distorting it, that's going to be an issue. In the chat room, by the way, I don't know why you all aren't smart enough to understand if you keep mentioning other YouTube channels, you will be banned. You will not be timed out. So I guess you wanted this to be your last night ever being allowed to speak here. And oh yes, I will not unblock you unless you pay the freight. It's $50 to get unblocked. If you're not talking about me over here and addressing what we're saying, you're going to get blocked. Just understand that. I know you're upset. You're low-key hating. I'm going to give you plenty more to hate on. Plenty more to hate about. But once again, I understand you heard what we laid down over here. You heard the format and you were like, damn, that's rock solid. What he's saying is rock solid, but I need to repackage it so I can resell it because niggas got to eat. And I understand that, but what I'm saying is, what you're doing is diluting it, and that's another thing. Now, if I do have a critique, by the way, if I do have one thing I object to, I do got to say this, no shade, no hate. Fellas, if you're going to talk about these subjects, as far as I'm concerned, you don't have true legitimacy until you give people answers. Saying that she's fat is not an answer. That's stating the obvious. Saying that she talks like a broodmare is not an answer. That's saying the obvious. The answer is, okay, here's how we can fix this. And then tell her, I want you to call me back so that we can validate to the people that what I'm saying is accurate. I am the only person on the internet who's the folk I talk to, give advice to, give pointers to. I tell them, this is what I've lived. This is how I know it's true. Call me back in 6 months. Nobody else does that. So if I do have a critique, I do have that. Because I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of folk are talking up on some money. And by the way, I ain't hating on that. A fool and his money never should have been together in the first place. But people, do you see? I'm going to say this just straight out. And this is not hate. This is not hate. I'm speaking truth, though. Those 6 points on the screen, let's just say that those 6 points on the screen are absolutely 100% accurate and valid. Has the person who wants to charge you for coaching or counseling confirmed for you those 6 things are attributes they possess? Because I have. People listen to me because, oh yeah, I've demonstrated it for years. You can hate on Tariq Nasheed all you want to. He's got it. Hate if you want to. He's got it. So even if I agree with those points at face value, what I'm saying is, okay, before I can accept you, because you want acceptance into my circle, before I can accept you, first, we got to check your paperwork. If you're going to say that this is the scale, I'm just saying, brothers and sisters, somebody tell me, has anybody checked the paperwork? Or are you just being told, take my word for it? Because I don't charge people. You can call me up for free. I don't charge people. You don't, most of you wouldn't make enough for that. So I don't charge you. Furthermore, I don't need the money, so I don't have to spend half my program hitting people up and saying, hey, give this or give that. If you're already holding, then you don't have to do it. You don't have to stick up YouTube. So what I'm saying is a lot of y'all are faking it till you make it. Hey, I hope you make it. No hate. A lot of y'all are out here faking it till you make it. I'm not hating on you. I hope you make it. I'm pulling for you, homie. I hope you get there. You're not there yet, but I ain't hating on it, man. I hope you get there. I hope you get there. Niggas gotta eat. So I get it. I get it. But just understand in the circles that we move in, if you're going to talk as if you're moving in these circles, that's fine. But I'm saying if you're going to distort the points I put down, I'm going to have to say, wait a minute, on what authority do you speak? Because I've demonstrated mine. So anybody who's got anything to say, I want you all to just remember, they're not going to say that any part of what I've said is false. They're going to say, oh man, you shouldn't be making fun look bad about that. They ain't good. Okay. What did he say that was wrong? What did he say that was wrong? Oh, then there's nothing wrong with it there. I just hate that you got it. Understand something, people. There's another thing right there. You can't get raised up by anybody but somebody who's already raised up. Now, let me just lay this out here right now, and I'm not even going to say that this applies to Kevin. I'm going to say this about anybody that you find Because the internet has become a place where it used to be those late night infomercials. These guys would go rent some Malibu beach house and then claim they balling out of control and then get a bunch of people to sign up for real estate courses and that kind of crap. And I've had to let you all know from a guy who can actually afford those types of cars that, by the way, in the circles out, for those of you who've never actually bought a $100,000 car, do you understand that 75-80% of those are leased? Oh, they're not purchased, they're leased. So when I see Richard Cooper, suspected alt-right, Richard Cooper, Entrepreneurs in Cars, yes, I said your name. When I see him driving an Audi R8, and I'm like, dude, have y'all been to Auto Trader and see what one of those used is going for? They lose 50% of their value within the first 36 months. You're not impressing me driving an Audi R8 in the year 2020. I understand that. So I'm just saying, yeah, I see you flossing, but do the people know the terms under which you can floss, dude? They don't know that. They don't know it. So I'm just letting folk know, if you see him running around in a $100,000 car, yeah, it was $100,000 new. It ain't $100,000 by the time he got to it. By the time he got it, it wasn't $100,000. He just wants you to recognize the car. Let's be clear. You can Google my stats. You can Google my documents. You can go ahead and do that. Hate if you like. But you can't get raised up by somebody unless they've already been raised up. You can't get raised up on theory is what I am saying. You can't get raised up on theory. A theory ain't gonna get you raised up. Hypothesis and hypothesizing ain't how you get raised up. Fellas, if you want the baddest broads, by the way, and I've actually talked to them here on The Business, by the way. You might not like it, but let's just be very, very clear. Simba deals with and associates with men who are millionaires and multimillionaires. You might not like the get down of the Instagram chicks, but it is what it is, what it is. You can't dispute it. You might not like Dreamy's get down, but it is what it is. I'm not giving you theory. I'm giving you the people I actually associate with. You ain't gotta like it. But among the women who actually move in those circles, what was the first thing that they told you? Oh, you actually don't have to be a millionaire. I just want to know what's in it for me. They both told you could be making $80,000 a year. All I want to know is how much of that am I going to get? Now, that's not me prognosticating. That's some of the most popular chicks in the game letting you know. They letting you know that. Yes, in the chat room, I just spent enough to buy one of those exotic cars on my social activism. Didn't do a crowdfunding, didn't solicit funds, didn't ask people, oh, can we hold that together? New York City blew up on its own. Oh yeah, and by the way, my billboards are still there. By the way, you want to talk about money, length of time, longevity, network, utility? My billboards are still there. Before Oprah Winfrey did a damn thing, I went to Louisville for Breonna Taylor. Before the rest of the world did a damn thing for Botham Jean, I went to Dallas. So what I'm saying is, folks, if you want to talk about somebody who's certified, if you want to know why it is that you haven't heard me say that what they say sounds a bit different from mine, there's a reason for that. So what I'm saying is, if you're going to get the game, this right here is what separates those who get the game from a real, reliable source from those who get the game from somebody who just sounds good. And I'm not even here to point fingers and say who just sounds good. What I'm saying is, for all of us, Folks need to start showing their work. Richard Cooper said, do the work. Other folks started saying, show your work. Okay, fine. But regardless, people need to start validating this. And by the way, yes, I understand the fact that I can actually do these things, that actually makes bum broke niggas hate. They'll hate and troll more because they're like, damn it, you real. They would rather be with fakers or people who ain't proven, because when a person proves it, that puts it in your damn heart. That shoves it in your face. It's like, okay, this dude's legit, man. He's legit. He actually do the damn thing. He actually knows the people and do the damn thing. So yeah, it's gonna make those who don't meet the code, you ain't up to code, it's gonna make you feel some kind of way. And I understand that, which is why I ain't mad. I don't beef with nobody. You understand that? Jason Black don't beef with nobody. I don't have to. Why would I? But what I am doing is just setting the record straight about what it is. Setting the record straight about what it is. Because I laid these down and I understand that people have been lifting them. Rolo's been lifting them. The white red pillars have been lifting it. Now you got these black red pill dudes, dating gurus and stuff. Now they're lifting it. I'm like, okay, lift the whole damn thing is what I'm saying. Lift the whole thing. If you gonna lift it with its integrity. Lift it with its integrity intact. Don't distort it. Don't mutate it. All in the words of L.A. Breeze, all you're doing is causing confusion. Lift it in. If you gonna eat off me, nigga, eat the whole meal. No, don't flick the broccoli to the side. You putting the pork chops on another plate. You just eating up the macaroni. No, nigga, you want to eat the shrimp, but taking the mashed potatoes and the asparagus off the plate. No, eat the whole meal. If you're gonna eat off me, eat off me. If you're gonna eat, gobble it up. Don't take it piecemeal. Get the whole damn thing. If you're going to pick up what I'm putting down, if it's too heavy for you to pick up the whole damn thing, then don't try to pick it up. Don't try to pick the damn thing up until you can pick up the whole thing. If you're not going to pick up the whole thing, don't do it. Look, I'm getting ready to head out of here, but the difference between me and all of these other fellas is I live what they promise you, because they can't even tell you what to get. Richard Cooper don't control nothing. There are no females who have ever called in to confirm, you know what, Richard Cooper is right. I agree with everything he's saying. Ain't no females calling up to say that. There are no females calling in to validate Rollo Tomasi, talking about women are, when they start heading towards their periods, that's because it's biological reasons and they want to go mate with somebody. Man, and there are no females confirming that. There are no females saying, yeah, that's how he got me. There's nobody saying that. You can't put that into practice. Yeah, it sounds good if he's talking to a bunch of dudes who've never seen a woman naked before, much less seen several of them. What he's saying sounds good to a dude who ain't never moved no weight. But that's not practical in the real world. You can't act on that. No, I'm not joking. Rollo Tomasi really says this. For those of you who follow Rollo Tomasi, you understand he says there's a biological component when women around the time of their periods are going to be more likely to want to have sex and unprotected sex and this, that, and the other. Yeah, and Donovan Coon Sharp and the rest, yeah, that's all of them are out there repeating the same damn thing. They don't have anybody to confirm it. I'll open the damn phone line and have women who call in and confirm it. I ain't got to talk about it. I can be about it. Why would women confirm that? The reason they would confirm it is because if he's putting that out there in the world, he should want it to be reliable. That's why you want women to confirm it. Women aren't shy about their periods and stuff. They're not shy about when they want to have sex. If this could actually be proven, it would be proven. It'd be proven. Let's be very clear. When I open up the phone lines, I don't restrict males or females calling in. Everybody call in and whatnot and hit me. Because I want you to understand the difference between me and everybody else is that what I tell you is I want it to be actionable. And furthermore, where the men are concerned, like I say, the rest of these guys don't have a complete ideology. They don't have it. Fellas, I have never advocated equality. Now that's easy for the pickup artists, the red pillars, and the dating gurus to say. That's easy for them to say. What's hard, and it's easy for them to say power, wealth, and influence. Power, money, and influence. That's easy to say. What is not easy to say is what I say next after that. You pay the cost to be the boss. You pay the cost to be the boss. That you're going to put her through her paces. Y'all have seen female callers call up for me, and it's like, okay, I've proven it. I'm not pontificating about it. I'm telling you what we've lived. That as a man, you get the spoils of war. And that is what your woman is looking for. When I had the Tommy Lauren video where I said, you're like a dragon to women. That's your status symbol to them. I'm not telling you what I believe. Power is supposed to exert itself. These guys have never said that because they've never exerted power with a female. Pickup artists can tell you how to get a woman. Not a great one. They can tell you how to get one. And if you listen to them long enough, they can tell you how to lose one. But what they cannot tell you is how to break one and how to keep one. Now, none of these fellas can tell you that. Oh, hell, did I just put myself on another level again? All these dudes can tell you about picking up women. Can they tell you how to keep one? Can they tell you how to hold one? Can they tell you how to break one? Can they tell you how to mold one? Actually, no, they can't. You see, that's the purpose of the Prada store and the Louboutin and all those creature comforts. That's the point of the 5-star hotels. That's the point of she got to pay. That's the point of she has to earn her keep. That's the point of all that. You can't just say those slogans and don't even know how to utilize them. You're saying those slogans and can't even tell us how to use them. And then got dudes sitting up here following up behind it. Some of them paying for it. Guys, this is why y'all are in the pathetic position that you're in. Because the truth of the matter is, can we just keep it real? Fellas, you do not want a relationship with a woman. Did I say that? Damn it, I said it. Now the rest of y'all who've been eating off of me, you can pick this up too. Fellas, you don't want a romantic relationship with a woman. You want a power relationship with a woman. You want her to desire you. You want her to sacrifice for you. You want her to contribute to you. You want her to value you. You want her to go crazy over you. You want her to lose her mind over you if you leave the picture. You have been told that a woman going nuts if you leave is a bad thing, and I am telling you the weak talk like that. Women thought it was great when Tiger Woods' wife was busting up the Cadillac with the golf club. They said, damn, that fella must be damn valuable. Ellen Nordegren is going absolutely nuts over him. That is what you want, fellas. That's the reason you got to pay how you weigh. These other fellas are trying to tell you you can either get by on no money, which is a lie, which is hollow, or that you have to pay everything, which is false. You have to craft and mold a power dynamic with a woman. You are a producer, not what makes you high value is being a producer. Take a look at where she has personally been. I've taught you all this before. Y'all don't have to outdo Jay-Z. You just have to outdo the last 2 niggas she was with. Oh, these other fellas never told you this. Rolo never told you this. Red Pill never told you this. The black coon manosphere never told you this. You don't have to beat the rest of the world. You don't have to beat the guys making $150,000 a year. You just have to beat the last 3 fellas she was with. You know why? Because she can only choose from the options that are available. She can't choose from the ones that are not available. Now, if you don't understand that going into the situation, then it's going to break down to a negotiation. Remember what I told you during the last program? Negotiation is supposed to be done as soon as you show up. People, they can't pick up the whole damn lesson. They can't pick up the whole format. And by the way, women respect every single word that I'm saying. You know why? Because it tells them where their place in the hierarchy is. Because now you're not manipulative. Now you're not lying. You're letting them know where their place in the hierarchy is. Y'all have heard me sit here and argue back and forth with Simba. I was doing it last night. They just want to know where. She doesn't care if you're making 80,000 or 80 million. She just wants it spelled out very clearly. Okay, these are the rules. This is what you will get. Here is your place in the hierarchy, and here is what I expect from you. That's what women today want. But there are too many guys who ain't got nothing to offer but jive talk, pontificating, theorizing, saying something they hope sounds good and gets by, but ain't no tangibles. There are no tangibles. Women respond to tangibles because they eventually get tired of dudes selling them on intangibles and job talk, and eventually she grows up and realizes tangibles are where it's at. Everything else got 4 feet. You have to understand why they value the tangibles. Then you can determine which tangibles need to be disseminated. Once again, I'm laying down solid, concrete rules. Correct. These are concrete parameters. These are solid, concrete rules that you can put into direct practice. Not something that I'm guessing about, not something that if somebody calls up, I'll bull job my way through the call. No, this is what works. You know why? Because I've been there. I am giving you the benefit of what I've lived, not what I guess. I don't talk about fictitious, high value, big earning individuals. Y'all know the ones I roll with. You know the ones I talk to. I'm giving you an inside peek about how we live. Other folks are out here guessing it and trying to sell it because they trying to get there. I'm telling you about where we at. I'm telling you about where we at. So a lot of what you've been getting is folk trying to guess their way through this. And I hope this sounds good. And well, I worked at a job where I was in proximity to these people. Okay, but you ain't holding like that. And you ain't really dealt with people who are. You're just saying what you think they want to hear to a bunch of folk who don't know any better. But to those of us who actually move those type of numbers, for those of us who actually move in those circles, we're like, yeah, it's very obvious you're guessing your way through this and trying to give us your estimation of what it must be like. But this ain't what we gotta do. This isn't how we move. This is not how we move. We move different. We move different. You're like a fan watching on TV trying to say what you think the lifestyle is like. We move differently. Understand something? I laid down the game for y'all. Dudes, these dudes are sitting up here telling y'all gotta buy chicks cars. I was the one who told y'all women do not make a distinction between buying or leasing. A woman does not want ownership. A woman merely wants possession. Now, you guys complain about it, but I'm like, stop complaining, you dumbass. That's exactly what you want. Women don't require ownership. They require possession. You complaining, woman always wants to drive my car. Nigga, that's what it's supposed to be. The car is in your name. She doesn't want ownership. She just wants access. She just wants access. So why wouldn't you buy yourself an Audi R8 if the women like it? Why wouldn't you buy yourself a BMW 7 Series? Remember, TK Kirkland, once again, we talking about certified. You want to talk about certified high value, certified 7 figures. You want to talk about certified. No, not somebody on the internet who can't name any names guessing their way through it. Remember, TK Kirkland said the same thing. If you go take a look at that routine he did, we talk about a company car. Remember that? Now, then he said it'd be a Toyota Camry. But understand, he's talking about a company car. No, y'all ain't got this level of the game from these other people because they can't buy a pair of shoes for the chick, much less a car. So they've never actually put the woman in that situation. You see, y'all are not in the situation to crap test a female. You got to make 120,000. Bands make me dance. Okay, then a fella like me comes up and throws down 200 and she's sitting up here doing somersaults and all them freaky things she told you that she would only do for 100 G's or more. But you're not in the position to actually put this into action and crap test it. And be like, baby, I'm calling your bluff. I'm calling your bluff. Yeah, you might wish for 100,000, but you gonna move for this $500? You gonna move for this? You gonna move, you know why? Because Mr. 100,000 ain't available. And the rest of these dudes ain't offering nothing. You gonna move for this one stack. You gonna move for this. You gonna move for this. Oh, hell, I'm laying down levels of the game in one broadcast. Y'all are sitting up here begging and paying and getting half information, and you're looking stupid and messed up, and you got half the game, and you're shoddy and you're broken and ain't put together right, and I'm laying the whole damn thing down for you. But the problem is that they're not being honest with you because they don't know it themselves. People, understand, relating to women is a power dynamic. Oscar Wilde said it. Everything in life is about sex except sex. Sex is about power. Everything in life is about sex except sex. Sex is about power. And if you guys want to improve your relations with the opposite sex, you must approach this as a power dynamic, not a money dynamic. Money is a side effect of power, not as a talking social dynamic. Those are side effects of power. Approach women from a power position. The woman wants to plug into a source of power. Convince her that you are her best option to plug in, and her biology takes over from there. All these half measures and broken, incomplete philosophies that people can't actually put into practice. Don't get mad at me because I said, let's put this into practice. I demand that you must be able to go out and demonstrate this. Walk up to that chick over there and show me that this works. And these other guys, by the way, none of them, not a single one of them is going to tell you all, I insist that the person talking to me get up and go show me that what I'm saying works. And then come back free of charge, because I don't need your money. Because if you're actually high value, you ain't going to ask for money. But anyway, I don't have to ask for money for a conversation. You want the game? I know it's supposed to be sold and not told, but hey, I ain't got time. It would cost me too much money to open the cash register. Too much money to open the cash register. Too much money to open the cash register. Understand something. If you can't put it into actual practice, it doesn't exist. If you can't put it into actual practice, it's not valid. Simple as that. I just wanted to take out some time tonight to separate fact from fiction to explain to you what it is these other folks are getting wrong, why it's wrong and an error. Hopefully they will update their information. I know they're profiteering off of this. I ain't hating on that either, by the way. But if you're going to give people the game, give them the whole game. Give it to them accurately. Because when you don't do that, you end up doing what you've been doing the past few months. Once again, I wish you well. I hope it works out. I don't want to see nobody struggling to doing bad except certified coons. Y'all can go to hell. I ain't looking for nobody to struggle and do bad. You ain't got to say my name. People know where you got it from at this point now. I think it's a little disreputable that you're going to use somebody's talking points and then somehow you're going to use what they said but not attribute it. It's like your ego is that fragile. You got to you're scared of what it'll mean. If you tell other people that you got the game, you got your foundation from somebody else, you're scared to tell them that. Because I've never been scared to tell him that. Dr. Claude Anderson, Neely Fuller, John Henry Clark, Marcus Garvey. I have no problem letting you all know where, if I got the foundation from them, I'll let you know, hey, this is where I got the foundation from. I have never tried to pretend I didn't get it from them. So what's the reason? Why would you want to pretend you didn't get it from me? You don't have to. I'm just saying, about time to ask about it. To the rest of you who are happy with incomplete, half-ass information that doesn't work, I guess a lot of you were raised in broken, ineffective, half-ass situations, so you actually gravitate to that, so you're comfortable with it. But for everybody else who wants a game-changing, life-altering dynamic, fellas, it's about power. And ladies, you already know, your job is to filter out the weak from the strong. Oh, and let me just go ahead and leave you with that. Ladies, don't you ever be ashamed of filtering out the weak from the strong. That is your biological purpose. The reason the world's screwed up today is because too many of you dumbass hoes, I'm calling you what you are, too many of you dumbass immature hoes opened your legs and gave it up for a fella who was weak. Because you were too stupid, immature, or ill-taught to go for power. Your biological prerogative as a woman is to only allow the strong, the intellectually strong, the physically strong, the financially strong, the socially strong, you are the men who have strong principles, you're supposed to only allow those to reproduce themselves. Everybody else is supposed to go extinct. And too many of you heifers have now reproduced with a weak man, and now you are weak yourself, so a strong man ain't got nothing in common with you. But ladies, your job is supposed to be to filter out the weak from the strong, and to only allow the strong to reproduce themselves, and everyone else is supposed to go into oblivion. So don't be sorry that you want the strong. But you need to make sure that you are fit for the strong. Otherwise, you end up with folk running game on you and then things get messed up even worse. That is not what you're looking for. Not going to take phone calls. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Maybe I'll take phone calls next time. Be on the lookout for it. If you're new here to the business, click that red subscribe button. This is the only place you get actionable game that you can put into real world practice. Click that subscribe button, click that yellow notification bell for the material that is, as you all saw last night, for the material that is, we can't put it on YouTube because it violates their standards. The channel would get shut down. But if you want to see the stuff that we go full bore in over there on my Patreon, we have the fully adult conversation over there that they don't allow over here on YouTube. But if you haven't signed up for the Patreon so you can get the stuff that we can't show on YouTube, go ahead and do that. Those of you who were watching last night, you know it's real. No hate, no shade. No one should get offended. What I'm saying to people, I'm just setting the record straight about the principles I laid down. No hate. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of The Business. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Foundation, Mr. Jason Black. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, handle your business